Okay, so Big G, were you drafted or did you enlist in the military?
I enlisted.
Okay. Where were you living at the time?
I went to the University of Evansville, and I was living in the dorm at the time.
Why did you join?
Because if I would not have joined, I would have been drafted.
Why did you pick the service branch that you joined?
I joined the National Guard because I had a good chance of not having to go to Vietnam.
Okay. What did you feel? Wait, what did it feel like?
You mean, what did it feel like to...
Wait, well, do you recall the first days in service?
Yes.
What did they feel like?
Very weird, because I was wearing a uniform which I'd never worn before, and I had these sergeants, drill sergeants, bossing me around, telling me to go here and there, and yelling at me, and I didn't know why they were yelling, and it was a rather traumatic experience the first few days until I got used to it.
So, how was your experiences in boot camp or training?
My boot camp was in Fort Ord, California. If you're not in the military, it's a great place to be because it overlooks the Monterey Peninsula. But being in the Army and in boot camp, you can see all the ocean and all that it has to offer, the beaches down below, but you can't get to them because you're confined to the barracks, and that's where I did my basic training and advanced training.
Do you remember your instructors in your boot camp?
Do I remember who?
The instructors in the boot camp?
I remember my drill sergeant. I don't remember his name, but I remember him.
How did you?
Not a nice person.
How did you get through the boot camp end?
I counted the days, and I had on my hat, the bill of my hat, I could cross off the days.
Okay. Which war did you serve in?
It was during the Vietnam War.
Where exactly did you go?
Well, I was in boot camp and advanced training at Fort Ord. Then I was in Cincinnati, Ohio, at a National Guard armory.
What was your job at the National Guard?
I was an anti-tank gunner.
That's interesting. What was the food like?
The food was good food if you weren't out in the out on maneuvers. If you were out on maneuvers, you got a box of food with cans in it, and you got to open the cans and you had to eat whatever was in it. The only good thing was the bread and dessert. If I remember right, that's the only two good things in that box.
Did you have plenty of supplies?
Plenty of supplies, yes.
Did you feel under pressure or stress?
The only time I felt under pressure or stress was when we had to go to the truck strike that was occurring on the interstates of the state of Ohio. We had to patrol the interstates during that time. The other time that I remember now was when Kent State occurred. And Kent State is when the students were boycotting against the war, and the National Guard was the ones that shot at them and actually killed a few students. I was in the Ohio National Guard, but I was not in that unit where that happened.
Okay. How did people entertain themselves?
There wasn't a whole lot of entertaining to do. Usually, once maneuvers were over, once training was over, it was time to go to sleep. There wasn't a whole lot of entertaining.
Do you recall the day that your service ended?
Yes, I do. June 13th, 1972.
Where were you?
Bloomington, Indiana.
After after you your service ended, did you go back to work or back to school?
I went to work. I was working for Kmart, and so I just stayed working for Kmart.